in 3, in 2, in 1. Hi, everybody. Tim Andersen here, the Appraiser's Advocate. It's a pleasure to be with you today. And remember, if you hang around for a little while, as a matter of fact, all the way to the end, there's a bonus for you. So let's get into it. Again, I'm Tim Andersen, the Appraiser's Advocate, and this is what we call a Tim Talk. Its purpose is to train, inform, and mentor. And again, if you have any questions, please get in touch with me. You see my email address, tim@theappraisersadvocate.com, on the screen. Now, what we're going to get into today is what it is we do as appraisers when the market mumbles its message, which it does a lot frequently. So when the market mumbles its message, our job is to clarify. We do what no AVM, no evaluation, or what no broker's price opinion can do. We clarify when the market mumbles. There's way too much noise for the market to speak clearly all of the time. This noise comes from emotional buyers, emotional sellers, emotional and irrational brokers, bidding wars, attorneys, AMCs, etc. So, as a result, we've got to cut through that noise to arrive at the truth. That noise, that mumbling, that emotion notwithstanding, we get at the truth. Via our analyses, we tell our clients what the market says, and more importantly, what the market means. A prime example of this is a client gets in touch with you and says, "What is my property worth?" That's one of the big questions we answer. So let's suppose in this example, we're in an established neighborhood. There are no vacant land sales in that neighborhood. So, as part of answering the overall question of a property's market value, we've got to find a way to value the vacant site. Without vacant land sales, what is it we're supposed to do? One of the steps we can take to get at the market truth about vacant land values in a particular neighborhood is via what we call a ratio analysis, which is what we're going to go through. Now, what you see on your screen is a simple spreadsheet. The top line is the total sales price of the property as taken from the public record. These are not necessarily comparable sales, but they are sales in the subject's neighborhood. We're trying to get at site value. Therefore, we don't have to use pure comparable sales. Next, we see the total assessed value. Now, total assessed value is lower than the total property value, which is common for tax assessment purposes. Then we see the total assessed site value and the site size, meaning that the square footages or the assessment per square foot is as shown on the grid. But what we're a lot more interested in is the next row down. We're interested in the site value in the case of the subject. Having a site value of $714,000 is approximately 67% of its total assessed value. Therefore, as part of a ratio analysis, what we're going to do is multiply the total sales price of $1,204,875 by that 67%. Therefore, via ratio analysis, the site for the sale at $1,204,875 is $803,250, which is what we're going to use for the remainder of this particular analysis. Now, again, we're dealing with a ratio analysis. We have discovered that the site is worth about 67% from a tax assessment standpoint of the total assessed value. So we're multiplying the total sales price of $1,204,875 by the 67% to get $803,250. That's what we're dealing with. This is how we're going to extract the comparable value, the subject value, to get to the site value. And remember, we're about halfway done, so please hit those like and subscribe buttons. Hang around till the end of this presentation for a bonus. What you're looking at now is a simple scatter plot of the data we got on the above slide. What we're looking at is in the subject's neighborhood, the sites went from approximately 4,500 square feet to just under 15,000 square feet. The individual data points are shown on the grid, and there is a regression line connecting those data points. This is a simple linear line. We could have used a polynomial line, but it would have made the math more difficult. So we're sticking with this linear regression. Remember, the only thing we're looking at is site indicated value versus site size. What we're going to do is extract a site value from the data of sales prices and the site sizes. Over on the left-hand side is the y-axis, and then on the bottom is the x-axis. The y-axis would be the site value. The x-axis is the site size. At the top of the page in the right-hand corner, you have the regression formula, which we're going to go over in a minute. But first, we're going to go through a very simple eyeballing process to get an indication of a site value. Please recall from the earlier spreadsheet, we extracted a value to the subject site of $803,250. What we're going to do now is assume a comparable has a site size of 13,087 square feet. So what we are going to do is first estimate a value to that site and then adjust that site to the subject. Step 1 in this process is to locate along the horizontal axis, the x-axis, where approximately 13,087 square feet would be, which is shown by the red vertical arrow. The next step is to go straight left to the y-axis, which is where the value will be. So what we're saying is, via this simple analysis, a 13,087 square foot site would have a value of just under $1.1 million. Now, hold that thought, because now we're going to go to a mathematical proof. Now, on this slide, look at the square on the left. That's the regression formula. It says y equals 70.145 times something plus 133,238. Let me explain what that means. The y is the y-axis. It's the value we're looking for. It's the answer to the question. And we're going to answer the question by taking 70.145, which is basically $70.14.5 per square foot, which the computer calculated. We're going to multiply that by the 13,087 square feet of the comparable site. Then we're going to get a subtotal. And in this particular case, when you multiply 70.145 by 13,087, you get $917,988, to which you're going to add the constant. Now, the constant, which again is what the computer calculates, says that no matter how big or how small a site, as long as it's between 4,500 square feet and 15,000 square feet, it cannot have a value less than $133,238. Therefore, when we add that to the $917,988, we get the comp's site value of $1,051,226, which, as you can see, corresponds heavily to the value we got just by eyeballing this. So whether you eyeball it or whether you go through the mathematics, you're coming up with a number that's just under $1.1 million. Now, the adjustment is simple. We have an extracted value to the subject side of about $803,000. This particular site is just under $1.1 million. So when we subtract the two, we see that we would have to adjust the comparable downward $247,976 in order to make it equal to the subject. So we just got the adjustment to adjust a larger site, a larger comparable site, to the smaller subject site. Now, that R-squared value of 0.7865 means that about 79% of the difference in site values is explained by site differences alone. Now, ideally, we would look for something over 90%. Because we're dealing with real estate, which again is quite emotional, we're lucky to get a 79% correlation. So quite frankly, we're going to go with that. You say, Tim, what does all this have to do with site value? What is it we've done with all of these graphic gyrations? Well, basically, we had a problem. The problem was we've got an older property in a well-established neighborhood, so there were no vacant site sales. We entered into a ratio analysis to extract the site value from the ad valorem tax assessment. We applied that ratio, which in this case was 67%, to recent sales prices to come up with a value to the site, which was about $803,000, and you'd round that however you wanted to. Then we graphed site values versus overall sizes in order to come up with the adjustment which would be necessary to adjust up or down a smaller or larger site. We took that data right from the regression line, and using both eyeballing and a regression formula, we figured out that a site with 13,087 square feet, which is bigger than the subject, would need a downward adjustment of about $250,000. Again, you'd round it as necessary. We were in an older neighborhood. There were no vacant land sales. We extracted from the market a ratio of site value to total value. We applied it, and we came up with an adjustment to the comp's site value so that it made sense in the context of the subject site value. We did this out of the market, just as both USPAP and the GSEs require of competent appraisers. Again, there's too much noise in the market for it to speak clearly on every difference all of the time. So it's our job to cut through that noise from emotional buyers, emotional and possibly even irrational brokers, bidding wars, AMCs, attorneys, etc. We cut through that noise to arrive at the truth. We tell our clients via analysis of the market what the market says, what the market means, and why the market says that. We do all of this since we're the appraisers, we're the professionals. So when the market mumbles its message, we clarify it. We do what no AVM, no evaluation, no broker's price opinion can ever do. We clarify and then interpret the market for the client so the client can use that information to make informed, intelligent mortgage lending decisions. Please let me thank you for being here. I appreciate the time. I appreciate the fact that you listened to this Tim Talk. Its purpose was to train, to inform, and to mentor. Remember, I'm Tim Andersen, the Appraiser's Advocate. You can contact me anytime at my website. My email address is tim@theappraisersadvocate.com. Now, I talked about a bonus earlier. Remember that? If you'll go to my website, to the contact page, leave me your email address, I will happily send you for free my ebook on writing better reports. I appreciate the fact you've been here. I appreciate your professionalism. Please, let me extend my best to you and your family. And we're clear. Oh, but by the way, is your attitude professional enough to justify the highest of professional fees?